A simple smile destroyed all my 12-year-old faith on a rainy night. I was a monk, but one night, just one look, brought me to the brink of sin. Do you want to know how I survived and how I cleared my mind of negative thoughts? There are some ways to stay away from lust and sin that are published at the end of the video. So watch the video until the end and share it with your friends. Once upon a time, in a valley shrouded in mist and silence, there was an old temple in the heart of the mountains. There lived a great monk named Ananda, a man with calm eyes and a heart who had fought and won for years with the fire of desire. Many young disciples gathered around him, but one of them, a young man named Soma, had the most turbulent mind of all. Soma had only been wearing saffron robes for 2 years. His face was beautiful, but his gaze was not always fixed on the ground. Sometimes on the horizon, sometimes on the passing shadows. Master Ananda had warned him many times, the mind is like a garden. If you sow the seeds of desire, the weeds will take over. But Soma would only nod his head and say, "Master, I am strong." Every morning, Soma and a few other disciples would go to the village to gather food. The village was small, but one house was always Soma's last stop, the house of a girl named Leila. Leila was a young widow, long black hair, eyes as deep as a lake at night, and a smile that seemed to steal the moonlight. She always served food respectfully, but her gaze on Soma lasted longer than the others. The first time Soma saw her, her heart skipped a beat. She said, "This is just a moment. I will soon forget." But the next time she went back to the same house, Leila said, "Young monk, why are you always the last to come?" Soma blushed and said, "My journey is long." Leila laughed, soft and calm like a summer breeze. Days passed. Soma no longer went to other houses. He would come straight to Leila's door. Leila seemed to be waiting for him. Sometimes he would offer her hot tea, sometimes fresh fruit. Their words were short, but their glances were long. Soma could not sit in meditation at night. Leila's image danced like a flame in his mind. His hands trembled as he turned the rosary. One rainy night, Soma could not resist. Under the pretext of shelter from the rain, he went to Leila's house. He stood in front of the door, wet and trembling. Leila opened the door, took him inside, sat him by the fire, and gave him a dry cloth. She said, "Monk, why are you so agitated?" Soma was silent. Then, in a voice that even he couldn't believe, she said, You are like a fire that I can't put out." Leila looked at him for a moment. Then she came closer, placed her hand on Soma's. Soma gasped. A moment later, their lips were close together. But at that very second, Soma pulled back in horror. "No, this is a sin. I am a monk." Soma fled, running towards the mountain in the rain. He cried all night, his body shaking with cold and shame. In the morning, Master Ananda found him in a corner of the temple, wet, pale, with red eyes. "What happened, Soma?" Soma could not lie. He told everything, the looks, the words, the night before, the moment when he had almost lost everything. The master was silent. Then he took him to the top of a cliff overlooking the valley. The wind was blowing hard. "Look down," he said. The valley was full of mist, but below, a raging river flowed. "What happens if someone falls into this river?" Soma said. "He drowns." The master continued, "Desire is like this river. It is pleasant to stand on its banks, the sound of the water, the coolness of the breeze, but if you take one step in, you can't get out. The more you struggle, the deeper you sink. And what's worse, when you're drowning, you think you're swimming." Soma knelt down. Tears welled up. "Master, I've fallen. I'm no longer worth anything." The master placed his hand on his head. "Falling is not the end. The end is when you're stuck in the mud and won't get up. You're still alive. You can still come back." From that day on, Soma changed. He no longer went to the village. Other disciples brought him food. He meditated day and night, counting his breaths, seeing thoughts like passing clouds and letting them go. Every time the image of Leila came, he told himself, "This is just a thought, not reality, not me." Months passed. One day Leila herself came to the temple, beautiful but calmer. She stood before the master and said, "I'd have come to apologize. I was also lost. I wanted to draw her into my world, but she made me think that perhaps my world was empty. The master smiled. Soma watched from afar, but did not come closer. He just nodded, calmly and without malice. Years later, Soma himself became a master. Young disciples gathered around him. He always repeated this sentence: "Lust lies that it will set you free, but in reality it is a chain that grows heavier every day. The only true freedom is freedom from lust itself." Today, millions of people are like Soma. They open their phones, a moment of joy, a moment of excitement, but then their minds are filled with images they can't erase. Every time they look, a new seed is planted. The mind becomes tired, concentration is lost, sleep is disturbed, self-confidence is low. But the good news is, the mind is like a river. If you close the polluted entrance, it will clear itself. First, cut off the stimulating content. Even if it's hard, it gets easier day by day. Second, meditate for 10 to 20 minutes every day. Just sit, breathe, watch the thoughts and let them go. Third, be kind to yourself. Do you slip? Get up. Start again. Victory over yourself is eternal peace. Follow us to be 1% better every day.